G'day, this is Di Riddell from Your Voice Matters with Di. Today I've got quite a treat for you and talking about something that is on so many people's minds. It's either affecting them or affecting someone they love, and that's ageing and dementia. My lovely guest today is Vicki Doolan, and Vicki deals in this, she works in this and she trains in this, supporting people who have dementia and the caregivers. And I think that's so important because I come from a nursing background and I understand that the carer has got the person 24 hours a day. Nursing staff get to go home after 8 hours. So I think anything we can do to support the carers is huge. But there's a lot of things being done, I know, around communication with dementia and looking after people in a very different way to how we've done before. So I'm sure we'll be really interested to hear what Vicki's got to say. Vicki, a very warm welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Di. Thank you very much. Yeah, I do a lot of work around dementia and have done for quite a number of years now. So I have dementia communication training, which is one of the ones I love the most.
And now, is this your own program or is this through somebody else?
I actually became qualified in this program a number of years ago through an organisation in the States.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, but I was the first one to actually do this training in Australia. Mm-hmm. I don't know of anyone else having done it yet, but it takes a very different approach to dementia, a very positive approach to communication. Mm-hmm. And we talk about the gifts of dementia, which
sounds a beautiful term. That is a beautiful term.
Yeah, yeah. And it's lovely. And also we use what we call a yes and rule. So everything that we're told, because the reality for a person living with dementia is not the same as our reality quite often. Mm-hmm. So we need to step into their world. And so using the yes and rule is that basically whatever they say to us is what they believe. So we agree with it. And then we learn, I teach ways to elaborate on that reality and to sort of have really good, positive communication and interactions, I should say, with someone living with dementia. Because one of the things that I always like to stress is that with dementia, we look at it like it's a bookshelf. And you've got all the memories stacking up on the bookshelf, where the ones right at the bottom are our oldest memories. They're our childhood memories. And then we build them up over the years. And the most recent memories are at the top of the bookshelf. And so as the bookshelf starts to wobble, with our memories, the top books are the ones that are going to topple first.
What a great analogy.
Yeah, so the books at the bottom, the ones that stay, they remain. So as the memory goes, we're sort of getting back into those older. But the other thing is that memories and feelings are stored in two different places in the brain. Mm-hmm. So the feelings are like a bookshelf that's firm and stable, and it never rocks. It remains solid the whole time. So as the memories are toppling, the feelings are still staying strong. So I always stress to people that someone with dementia might forget who we are. They might, their reality is from their childhood and when they were younger and all those sorts of things. So that is not staying the same, but their feelings, how we make them feel, is the important thing. So if we can communicate with them, not even, even if it's not verbally, but we can communicate with them in ways that gives them a happy, nice experience, then they will remember that next time. They might not remember who we are next time, but they'll remember how we made them feel.
Yeah. So what sort of things would you do for them?
It's tapping into the individual. So, you know, everybody is different and everybody's going to respond differently. And we often see with dementia that people might, someone who's always had a lovely calm nature all their lives might actually become quite aggressive.
Yeah, I get that in nursing.
Right. Yeah. And so the secret is to tapping into their memories. What it is that makes them happy, what it is that over the years has really made them, you know, what their good experiences are from the past. So one big one is always music. If you can tap into some music that someone loves, you are going to really give them a good experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You've only got to say the word music, and I think everyone smiles because everyone goes to their own form of music, and it's usually the music that you grew up with.
Exactly.
Or the music you had in your teens.
Yeah, yeah. I've had some beautiful experiences, but just one that in particular that I can draw on is a lady who was late stage dementia. She was no longer verbal. The only thing she could say all day, all she said was oi, oi, oi. Nothing else. That was all she said all day. And someone happened to mention to me that she loved the Seekers. So I went in and I put Seekers music on for her, and every time she could sing every word of, didn't matter what Seekers song I put on, she would sing every word from the beginning to the end. And I'd get a big smile or we'd get tears.
Oh, isn't that, what a beautiful story.
Yeah, so we were really tapping into that, you know, the emotions, and and even tears are a good thing. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What was the last thing you said?
I said even tears, even crying is a good thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. Music is one thing, but just different, you know, it's very detailed, but different communication, how we respond to what they might be trying to tell us, is the secret to it all, to them having that nice experience. So.
And I guess that comes back to feelings too, doesn't it? It's how you make them feel.
It does. It does.
You don't understand what they're trying to say, and they get frustrated because you don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It takes time. It takes practice, but we can practice different things ourselves. I do it all the time. You know, we create what we call a compassionate story. So, you know, it might be, you know, all of us can practice this at any time of our lives. Particularly, I always say that when we're driving, we can practice the compassionate story all the time. If someone cuts us off, you know, our first reaction is to get angry and want to yell and scream. But what if there's a reason that person cut us? What if they're a good person and they just, you know, something's on their mind, something's really upsetting them. You know, they've got a race to get to the hospital or something. Creating that compassionate story, and that's also part of what I incorporate into the dementia communication training.
How did you get into this type of work, Vicki?
So I started out a little bit. My life it's sort of been one of those very windy roads, but we were back in 2010. My partner bought a pub. And you're wondering how I'm getting from a pub to dementia.
Probably very easily.
Yeah. And so I was we're working long hours, and when the time came to get out of that, I actually was very interested in health and wellness, starting my own health and wellness journey, really. And I discovered juicing, and I thought, I love this. I'm going to study this. So I found a course. It was a 2-year course in juice therapy. And I had to go to the UK to complete that training. And when I started the studies, we sold the pub, and I thought, well, I happened to see a program called Ageless Grace, and I thought, well, that might supplement my income a little bit and give me something to do while I'm studying. And Ageless Grace is a seated exercise program that is based on the science of neuroplasticity, and it's done primarily with seniors. I mean, it works for any age group from, 4-year-olds to 104, but primarily it's seniors that do this program. And so I started going and doing these classes in aged care facilities. And then one day, one of the lifestyle coordinators came out and she said, would you do this with our dementia patients? And I said, well, sure, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And that just totally changed everything for me. It was very much an eye-opener. I hadn't had anyone in my life who had dementia, so it was a big eye-opener for me. And then from there, it was just like, someone I know, actually the lady that trained me in Ageless Grace, she said, I've got these new programs. It was Dementia Live, Compassionate Touch, and Flashback. And so I got trained in those and have since become a trainer. So I run all of those programs as well. And then the Dementia Communication was sort of like the icing on the cake. And when I did that one, I just loved it. I fell in love with it. And that's where one of my focus areas. Yeah.
And it shows.
Yeah. Oh, good. But Ageless Grace is also another one. It's amazing. It's just so much fun.
Tell us about that.
Well, Ageless Grace is, like I say, it's a seated exercise program, but every exercise that we do incorporates using a part of the brain. So one of the 5 primary functions of the brain. So it's not choreographed, but everything has, whatever moves we do, they have a relationship with the brain. So let me give you, for instance, probably the best way to the best way to explain it is to actually show it. So, and it's all done to music. So again, we pick music that really stimulates the brain and the memory and the feelings and emotions. But we'll do exercises, something like, let me think. One to explain to you would be counting. So we'll count, say 1 to 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. On one side, and then we start 1 to 8 on the other side. Quite simple. And then we mix it up. So we'll start to get this brain going. I might say clap on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4. And then I'll, on 7 we'll pat touch our heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then backwards. So it's constantly firing new neurons, basically. The brain's going, whoa, and having to spark these new connections. The absolute, one of the most wonderful things I think that's been discovered in recent times is with neuroplasticity, is that once we thought as our brain lost function that we couldn't regain it. But we can actually create new connections right up until the day we die. And, and they never used to think that, but in the last probably 20, 30 years of neuroscience, they've discovered that, the brain actually continues to create new pathways all the time. It's
going to make a huge difference to the dementia patients of today, because they're going to be able to take advantage of this.
Yes. Yeah.
They're going to benefit from this new knowledge. Yeah,
absolutely. Very much so.
I think it's going to help carers as well.
Yeah.
So if people want to make contact with you, how can they do? What sort of people would come to you for training, or do you work through an organisation?
No, I work through myself, and so it's so the people that would come to me are the ones caring for someone living with dementia. So even family carers, members, even extended family who are struggling with understanding their loved one, and where they're coming from and where their head is at. And also even professional carers. I do groups as well that do it for a living, and it really can make a difference. The last one I did before we got put into isolation was with a group of occupational therapists, and so they all they loved it. They said, wow, like it gave them some really new insights into people they're dealing with.
Probably gave them a bit of a boost into what we can do next to make a change to help their page?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So my website is vickydoolan.com.au. So all the information.
That was my next question. Repeat your website for us.
Vicki Doolan, it's my name, VICKIDOOLAN.com.au. So all of my programs and everything is on there. And all my contact details are there. So I'm on Facebook, so I can be found on Vicki Doolan Gracefully Aging is my Facebook page.
Oh, because I think so many people go to social media for help today. So I think, you know, the social media presence is very important.
It is. Yeah.
So let's finish the interview with something that you would give as a number one tip for someone who was a carer who was looking after someone with dementia. What would your first encouraging, supportive tip to them be?
Probably number one. There's a few that actually fight for number one, for the number one spot.
I can have one A, B, C if you like.
I would actually say movement. Keep moving. Just any form of movement at all is beneficial to the brain. So, you know, even if they can't get out of the chair, just moving body parts, just get 10 minutes a day is definitely a benefit. So, you know, for that person who's caring, put on a song, put on a couple of songs that you know that person loves, and just move some arms and legs around. You know, it doesn't matter what you do with them, just move them around. Have a bit of fun. Yeah.
And if someone felt that they were developing dementia, what would you say to them? How would they access? I guess people's first port of call would be their doc.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have a relationship with any of the doctors?
I don't have any one in particular that I recommend, but certainly, I do say first port of call is to go and see your doctor. Secondly is to probably talk to me because there are 9 recognised risk factors for dementia, and 7 of those are modifiable risk factors.
Okay.
So there are things that, you know, even in the early stages that can start to be implemented, you know, and exercise is one of those.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, that's just amazing. So, okay, we're going to close off. Do you have one more comment you'd like to make, or are you done?
I guess the last thing I'd like to say is that I understand how hard it is for a carer. You know, it is overwhelming. It is a huge, massive undertaking for someone to be looking after a person living with dementia, and the carer needs to be aware that they need to look after themselves.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not looking after yourself, then you're not in the best position to be caring. So you do need to find ways to get time out, and always ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help. That's probably my last, you know, my final.
I think they're really great tips, Vicki. Really great tips. And I think it's just, you know, we've had just such gems now as I bring the show to the close today. Vicki has shared such down-to-earth, doable tips that anyone can do starting today. But what a wonderful service Vicki offers. And if you or someone you love suffers from dementia, you might very well like to contact Vicki at vickydoolan.com.au and see how she can help you. Vicki, thank you so much for being my guest today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with me.
I've loved it. Thank you, Di.
Thank you. Okay, cheerio, folks. Remember, your voice is your human gift. Love it, use it, bring it out and let it shine. Cheerio.